99.5 FM, the Wake Up Guyana Show. Hola there, good day to you, wherever you are. Welcome once again to the Wake Up Guyana Show here on Kaieteur Radio. I want to say good day to all our wonderful people across this beautiful land of ours, all 83,000 plus square miles of it. And I guess some people would be listening and looking with raised eyebrows there. We believe that we own more. Well, maybe we own the waters as well. And so I may not be far from the truth when I tell you that, the blessed country. It's a beautiful day out there. I had some fish curry. What did you had? I like my local food. And I must say thank you very much. There was a listener, viewer of our program yesterday, and the lady says, you know what, I want to send some food for you guys. So there was a whole bunch of food. I think 20 something more boxes plus that ended up in Kaieteur News today, Kaieteur Radio. Everybody enjoying it. So I want to say thank you very much to that beautiful lady, that beautiful soul. It isn't that we were asking for anything, but we do appreciate the thought, and the staffers from Kaieteur Radio, Kaieteur News say thank you very much. We do appreciate it, and we do happen to have some very hungry young folks here at the Kaieteur Radio, Kaieteur News, always eating. There's a boy named Kimo. That's another day's story that I'd have to tell you about, but it's a good thing. They're good folks, very hardworking, young group that I really am proud to be working along with rubbing shoulders with here at Kaieteur Radio, Kaieteur News. So I want to say welcome once again to the Wake Up Guyana Show here on Kaieteur Radio. We're coming to you live on our in our Saffron Street studio here on 99.1 Escribo and Demerara. And if you're in Berbice, it is 99.5. I want to say, wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, in your kitchen, cooking, lying in the bed, rocking in the hammock, in the backdam, working, driving, whatever it is that you're doing, welcome. And of course, I want you to have a blessed, wonderful day. It is Friday, November the 27th, 2020. And guess what? We are about 3 days away from the end of the month, at the end of November. Then we are into the full Christmas month, and it's not just about Boxing Day, but Christmas. It's about the whole atmosphere. And there's some good things that's coming out in this entire pandemic and this year, which I think some people would say very clearly that it's a cross. This year is a crossing year. But it seems as if when we compare ourselves to some other places, we are doing a little better. And yesterday, I think for the health workers, there was some good news for them. They are going to get a 2 week bonus and risk allowance being paid all in December. Of course, we are going to be looking out for the others as well. Public service, the public servants, and the soldiers and the police. Let's see what happens here. Are we going to see that? We don't know. But lately, this gentleman here that's seated at the head of this country here, Irfan Ali, has been making some statements, has been pulling things, has been all over the place, very busy. Are we seeing some major developments? Well, there has been in terms of a lot of talks about building hotels and so on. It is very good. I mean, when you see that kind of confidence being expressed, especially when you are still in the height of this pandemic, and Berbice seems to be grappling with that entire affair there. We will be talking a little about that, but there's a packed paper here, Kaieteur News, your newspaper here today. And I want to tell you that those who are not joining us, you tune into the Wake Up Guyana show with your host, Leonard Gildarie. You could also get us on Facebook, Kaieteur Radio on Facebook, or Kaieteur Radio live stream on YouTube. And we are headed into our largest selling daily newspaper here on today. And there's several things that we have to tell you and we have to go through because there's so many news that is in this newspaper. It boggles your mind that for a small country like this, there's so many things that are happening, and I don't think we have even captured it. So on the day of November the 27th, 2020, there are several stories here. Several ranks arrested for missing guns. The police, you could recall, we told you, and this is a case that has a lot of people worried. Now, when the police would raid various places, they would stop cars and so on. They would seize guns. If they go up and they raid a ganja camp or something, marijuana camp, they would seize those guns. If they stop a car and there's an illegal gun, they would seize it. Now, those guns are supposed to be in safekeeping. There's no other place that is safer or supposed to be safer than in the confines of the police compound. And so here it is at the headquarters. We have 150 guns as reportedly has disappeared according to an audit find. 150 guns. How does 150 guns seized from people? People are leaving the country and lots of guns disappear as well. Who is in charge of that? So several persons have been put under close arrest. And let me tell you this: there's so many implications for that. I think our newspaper here today, the editorial within Kaieteur News would have been addressing that because there's so many implications. When then we're not only talking about the trust within the police force here, we're talking about these people that's in charge here. When you seize an item as part of the evidence and it disappeared, exhibits, and it disappears from that line of exhibits that is to be presented in court, it could weaken the case. And if that is the only thing, if the man is charged, if the man is charged for possession of an illegal weapon, that gun disappears, the case is thrown out. 150 cases being thrown out. Let's assume that all 150 guns missing were seized. Because the police also would keep guns. If you live in the country and you don't want to leave it anywhere, you could walk into the police force with your licensed firearm and you could say, could you please keep it? And if that gun disappear, I mean, you come back and you asking for your gun and they're looking at you with little big eyes. We don't know what you're talking about, or we can't find it. Can't find it? How we can't find it? So this is a very serious situation here. The police must take a very serious stance on it. I expect to see charges on this. There can be no excuse. There has to be a sacking of several people. They have to be placed before the courts. If it is not, if they can't find evidence linking these people, if you have custodial responsibilities for the guns at the police force and it has disappeared, you're criminally responsible. It's simple as that. There's no excuse. Let us don't play around with this thing here. We have a serious country to run here. We have a lot of things to do. The people who are supposed to be in charge, they have to take the responsibilities very, very seriously. We don't have time to play here. We have to move this country forward. And the ones who are who are getting away from the duties, who are shirking the duties, that's the word I was looking for, who are shirking the duties and not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Well, you have to pay the prices for that because this is a very serious time. We want accountability, we want transparency, and if you can't do the job or if you've messed up on the job, you have to pay the penalties for that. Simple as that. Drug addict kills mother, stops body between wardrobe and bed, and it continues. I seem to be looking at this newspaper. I'm looking at this newspaper today, and if you're looking at the news, it is high time that you feel a little depressed because it looks, maybe it is things that happened in the past or so, but right about now, some news that is breaking, it sickens your stomach that we have, we have so many things that are wrong with this country that needs fixing, not only from the NDC and the local government side, but from the police force, from the regulatory agency side, from Parliament. I heard the AFC complaining this morning about the need for Parliament to move ahead for the parliamentary committees to meet, like the Public Accounts Committee, to examine the spendings of government. And who doesn't want to examine spendings that would have occurred in the last 5 years? We need to have an understanding, and we're not going to beat around the bush here. These are, like I said before, very serious times. So so a drug addict reportedly killed his mother, stuffed her, disappeared, and then he was later captured by the police. Apparently came out of jail about this for 2 months. And this lady, hard-working woman from the Good Intent West Bank Demerara area, well known for the people there, work hard, sell her little ice and drinks and things like that. Stabbed her up with a screwdriver, like more than 50 times, I understand. Then he also stabbed his niece. She's very critical, 5 years old. Who does things like that? And I would say that I have a friend whose son went all the way to top school in Guyana. And I know that she may be a little upset that I'm talking about it, but things like drugs and marijuana. And so a friend just called me from Florida there, and he says, I expect this government here to talk, to move with some kind of responsibility if we are going to be relaxing some of the laws when it comes to marijuana. He says, yes, you could do it because it's filling up the prisons and so on, that you could allow some possession and so on, that the people, if you wanted to smoke or so. But it's unacceptable that you go to a restaurant or places and you're caught in public smoking. If you want to smoke it, you smoke it at home, away from the public's eye, and you keep it right there. But we don't expect you to be walking down the road in front of the police and things like that. There has to be some ground rules that is going to be played out here if we are going to be moving in that direction. So cabinet is right now considering the relaxation of laws, which is going to allow you some kind of possession. Well, not possession. They are looking at it, so you're not going to have that jail sentence. There's going to be some repercussion if they catch you, but definitely not jail sentence for small amounts. So we are going to tell you it's about 1:15 right now, and there is a notice here that I have to tell you about. It's the Ethnic Relations Commission, and they're in collaboration with UG and the UN Representative Coordinator's Office, and they are planning to host a national conversation on how ethnic relations in Guyana can be improved. The event will be done virtually on December the 14th and 15th, and you will be invited, and the public will be invited to participate and make contribution. Look out for the updates and the countdown to December the 14th. ERC promoting harmony and good relations. And let me tell you, this is something that we did speak about. It is good that ERC is taken with all this talks about, every time you arrest somebody or every time something happens, it's race. Every time you do something, it's race. And both sides of the divide it's coming from. And it's good that ERC is taking this matter up. We're paying millions of dollars every year to regulatory agencies or entities like the ERC, like the Public Utilities Commission, and it goes on and on. Public Procurement Commission and so on. And so when they don't work, why are we paying you money? Why are we paying money to the Local Government Commission and we're not seeing any kind of movements? You could recall some time back there was, I think, the office where you could ask for information on government projects and so on. They put a commissioner there, and he had very little cases that was happening. So we go back to our front page here. Breaking parliamentary list system vital to improve management of oil. And this is Professor South University, Florida University, Taryn Kemraj would have been talking, our current system where people who are on the list within Parliament or so are there at the whims and fancies of their parliamentary list, meaning they have to go with whatever the party says. He's saying that, if we do it in a different system, maybe something like what America has, it was going to take a little time, but we have to start somewhere. We are going to have politicians, we are going to have representatives who are going to be representing their constituency, not the party necessarily. And when they come there, they are going to be taking decisions based on the interests of their constituents. So, in essence, this is what Taryn Kemraj is saying. I don't know too much about it. I don't want to talk too much about it. But what I could tell you, it's definite. It is a conclusion, a foregone conclusion, that we need some other independent minds thinkings within our parliamentary system that may, might be willing to bog the two big parties, the two big people, the two big ones, like, or the three big ones, if you're going to put AFC separate from the PNCR and the PPPC as the government on the other side. Moving forward, is this a situation that we want? It's up for debate. I would like to see some of the things that, our people in Guyana could probably talk to us about. In a very short while, just after 2 o'clock, we are going to be tuned in with Dr. Yok Mahadio. Always a pleasure. My compadre, my sidekick. I can't call him sidekick. He was always there. I could be considered a sidekick because we were there together with our show leading up those 5 months. I don't want to relive those 5 months again. Woman who killed brother-in-law in defense of sister-in-law charged, and it's a good thing to see that she was charged with manslaughter. If the story is true, and it is before the court, she did try to defend her sister-in-law and killed her brother. Nobody sets out to kill the brother, so something got to be wrong here. There had to be some aggravating circumstances with regards to that. Guyana-Suriname border to remain closed until COVID-19 cases decrease. This would have interest to the persons who are living in Suriname, who want to go to Suriname and so on. The cases between Guyana and Suriname, the president, Irfan Ali, would have been talking to his counterpart there in Suriname, the Suriname leader, Mr. Chandra Santoki. And what they're saying, based on the figures that they're seeing, it's not such a good idea to reopen our borders, allow ferry service to work, or the speedboats to operate again, for the simple reason the COVID numbers and so on are not looking good. They are going to review it when the numbers go down, and the numbers go down, and they are going to relook at it. But it is something that is top of the agenda in the discussions between the two countries. And while we're talking about that, the Brazil foreign minister was here in Guyana too, meeting with President Ali and team yesterday. You could recall that the president was in Suriname just the last 4 days, arrived back in Guyana, went straight into the meeting with the Brazilian foreign minister. And from there, it was announced in a joint statement that the president of Brazil is going to be here in Guyana next year. But in the meantime, like Suriname, Guyana is going to be moving with Brazil, to open up in a very, very aggressive way that Linden Latham corridor, that roadway. They want to pave it, and there's a reason for that. Guyana, Brazil, and Suriname, they're going to work together to connect all three. You could remember we already have a bridge across linking Guyana and Brazil. They want to put a bridge across the Quarantine River, so it's going to be bridging basically these three countries in the South America area there, and they believe that it's going to really increase trade. I'm a little worried in some parts about it, because if we can't, my worry has to do, if you cannot control what is happening in the hinterlands right now, what kind of comfort are you going to give me that we're going to protect our gold bush, one, protect our forestry, two, and there's going to be proper mechanisms in place. We have got to be very strict about it. But I like where this is headed. We're talking actually a regional integration kind of process in a very real way. Misconduct in public office. Ashley Singh and Winston Brassington must face Magistrate Chief Justice the ruling. And there's several aspects of this case that very quickly that we should go through as we come down to just after 1:30 when we open the lines. I must tell you that it should be of interest to you. The Chief Justice, Roxanne George, and you can remember this lady here was given high kudos for her rulings, independently minded rulings during the recent elections fight in Guyana. And she has, the shoes is on the other foot now. There's a case before her. You could recall that Ashley Singh is a former finance minister. He's back now. And Winston Braston is the head of NISIL, would have both been charged with the role that they played with handing pieces of lands to various entities. One of them would be in the Movitong area there. Second one would have been, I think, to the Bobby Ramroop group there, the new GPC group there, that in the industrial site at Rhymeville there. And they were being accused of, not getting proper evaluation for that place, and they sold it below value. While the charges that were laid before these two gentlemen, or these two men, they challenged it in the High Court. It says, We can be charged as public officers, and that's the question that is before us today. What is a public officer? It's said in a very strict sense of it, we should not be considered public officers. This judge, Chief Justice Roxanne George, disagreed. She says, yes, you are public officers. You go back to the lower court and you have to face the charges there. Interesting case. Is it going to be appealed? We don't know as yet. We will keep a close eye on this case. But there's a couple of things that we could comment on. One, it is good to see the courts are not afraid, because on one side she would have ruled in a very courageous manner against the coalition when they were there. Here it is the cases before her. It is good to have independent-minded justices in the courts. That is a good thing for the country. I know that Ashley Singh and Winston Brassington, they are very capable of finding good lawyers to appeal this matter here, and it's all good because everybody has a right to do that. James Bond released from jail this morning. I did see that the matter is continued to be investigated for his role in the oil, in the lands on these bank that he's accused of. Conspiring to give out, or to take away from the government and give it, sell it, flip it, whatever words you want to use here. He's out of jail after being kept on an attorney-at-law, a high-ranking official within the PNCR and the APNU. 2 weeks bonus risk allowance for all healthcare workers, and I did see this was announced by the president yesterday while he was speaking at the launch of a project to change or to improve the Leonard Hospital into a smart facility, smart medical facility, good lighting, solar panels, water system, and more equipment and so on. And this is a good thing because nurses were complaining. Is it going to go right across the entire sector where there's also ambulance drivers and others and others? Or is it just for nurses and doctors? I think it is all. They didn't really explain, but we are going to be seeing cop reminded for sexual abuse of relative. I like the fact that nobody is protected. Everybody could be charged, and cops are not above it. Every time they find you lapsing, the police have been calling in their own, and they've been charging them. Fisherman gets 20 years for rape and killing CI senior citizen, and this is a shocking case. A couple of years back, he would have entered her home, killed her, raped her, killed her, and she was a senior citizen at Cornelia Ida, shocked the community. But he was also accused of, he was also charged and sentenced also with a raping of a lady right in on the west coast of Demerara there. She went on the seawall there to wash off her shoes, her muddy shoes, and he grabbed her and took advantage of her, then recognized her, and then says, please don't tell anybody that I did this to you. And he even escorted her on the road to put her in a vehicle, and she went to the police, and he was charged with that. So this is a second conviction for him. But in this particular case, he is said to be a fisherman. In this particular case, somebody was killed, and so he got 20 years for that. Compliance monitoring needed for sound governance of oil sector. Former EPA head Vincent Adams, and he's saying that we need, if you really want to have a sector of having an oil industry here, make sure that you strengthen all our systems in Guyana, all the structures, and it is there so we could have proper monitoring, proper compliance by all parties. Nobody is going to be here that's going to do what they feel like. So very quickly, let's run through this paper here. The Kaieteur newspaper of November the 27th. A Surinamese-based Guyanese busted with cocaine and book makeup, remanded. She stashed some, came from Suriname, living in Suriname, a Guyanese, went to the airport and was busted at the airport with 2 kilos in a book and some makeup. We have found some very interesting places in chutney, in books, in cricket bats, in wheelchairs, in wigs, in birds, all kinds of stuff that we do here. So let me see. Compliance, okay, good. Guyanese get almost 200 million from rice exports between January to October. Good news for the rice people, the rice millers and the rice farmers. I'm not hearing a lot of complaints from the rice farmers lately. They're talking about a little about the drainage and irrigation, but the rice prices has been good, and there's some figures here that the people should be interested in. They're saying that we got $194 million in rice exports for the period of January to October, and when compared to the 37 billion, this is equivalent to about 40 billion Guyana dollars. Last year, same period, we got 37 billion. And we have gotten some, we have gotten markets all over the world: Europe, Latin America, Caribbean. And so it is the U.S. has seen a dramatic increase. Gaisuko CEO says tractor will cost $1.2 billion, not $1.45 billion. And so, there was a case, there's some pushback. Even the AFC was talking about it. Why are we spending $1.4 billion to buy tractors at this point in time? They're seeing that something is wrong here. The guy Suko is saying, as the CEO says, Ryan Singh, is saying that if we don't go ahead with our chilling, we're going to be wasting our time. Guy Suko is hoping to rehire 3,000 of the 8,000, 7,000 persons sent home under the coalition as a result of the closure of 4 estates. Let me see what else. Police warn local women of Facebook scam. And people, this person here, somebody got hold of a lady. He started texting the lady, and he expressed, happiness. He wanted to have a relationship with her, and he said, "I'm going to send you some money and gold." And he sent it, and somebody called her and says, "You're not supposed to send money." And they said that because of that, customs is investigating. You got to pay some money to settle this matter. And by the time she catch herself, she sent the money. And then it was all a scam. Today also we're hearing that the police has somebody, a Nigerian, I understand, and this one was said to be a Nigerian scam as well. So this one is said to be a Nigerian scam, but the police is saying that they have somebody who came from Brazil who's part of a gang, a worldwide gang that's been coming here and scamming people. And so you got to be very careful. If somebody comes and something is too good to be true, if you're not working with it, if it's not a Ponzi scheme, you got to be very careful. Be smart. You don't have money to eat, and you're going to take your money, borrow the money, and give it to somebody else. Call us, do something, but don't put your money. Even with your box and be very, very careful. Make sure that you know who you're getting involved with and what's it that you're doing. Tenant found in bed, dead in bed by landlord. At this point in time, we take a break right now because we have to tell you a little about your insurance. It is the insurance time, and let me tell you, you want to beat the rush and get your home insured today at great deals. CARICOM General Insurance Company Inc. at 121 Regent and Orinoco Street. To better serve you, you can now purchase your insurance online from the comfort of your home. Telephone 225-1787 or 269-0020. CARICOM General Insurance. We are headed into a ad break right now. When we come back, it is 622-222 that you send your messages to. Start sending those messages right away. And also, we're going to be talking about a little 10-year-old and how happy she made me yesterday. 226-7453. 226-7453. We will be standing by to take some calls after this, after we go through the paper a little more, read some messages, and open the lines. 226-7453 or 622-222 is where you send your messages to. No calls to that. We take our break now, and we'll be back shortly.
Imagine up to $500,000 cash in your hand. Shop at Singer from now to December 21 and win your share of $2 million. Spend $20,000 or more and be one of 4 winners of $250,000 each. Plus, 2 lucky shoppers will each win $500,000. Get cash in your hand for the Christmas at Singer with 6 months, no interest, and up to 36 months to pay. Singer at home worldwide.
Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Yes, and welcome back right now to the Kaieteur Radio. and you're tuned in to 99.1 in Esquimalt or and Berbice. If you in Esquimalt and Demerara. If you're in Berbice, it's 99.5. We're coming to you live on Facebook and YouTube as well. And we're back looking at our favorite newspaper here. Lowenfield matter postponed as magistrate at 10 seminar. So he's due back next month again. And we recall the Chief Elections Officer, Keith Lowenfield, is facing charges with regards to the role that he's played, which the police are saying that he made attempts to commit some frauds during the recent elections. He sided with the coalition, is what they're saying, and he's now before the courts with a number of top officials of GCOM and including some politicians. So that's a big case, and we're paying close attention to that. Tenant found dead in bed by landlord. The landlord left the tenant 59, came back, told him good morning. When he came back in the afternoon, we couldn't see him. Peeped through the door or the windows and saw the man lying in the bed. Called the police, discovered the man dead. And this is in Tushenhausen scheme, East Bank, Esquimalt. Cop reminded for sexual abuse of relative. So sad when we see these things that we're in charge. We've been left in charge of children and we're taking advantage of them. And this particular case, I hope that they lock him away for a very long time. There can be no excuse for this kind of behavior. When we breach trust as an adult, you're supposed to protect children. You're supposed to protect the little ones, being the boys or the girls or so. For you to abuse them, sexually abuse them, take away the innocence, there cannot be any excuse for that. You have to go to jail if you're found guilty. Several police ranks on the close arrest for missing guns. We did talk about that. The Guyana and Suriname border to remain closed until COVID-19 case decrease. 190,000 locally produced masks delivered so far to the Human Services Ministry. And you can recall Dr. Vindhya Prasad, as the minister, would have launched a program to have local people, seamstress and otherwise, join in a program where they could be paid for the sewing of a mask, the cloth mask and so on. And a couple of them, more than 100 of them, would have been gone through a training recently to participate in this program. So it's a good thing. And then so far they have received, the ministry has reported that it received 190,000 locally produced masks. So this is a very good thing. Teacher jailed 3 years for sexually assaulting minor. And this is at a private school. Can't name the school here, but at the end of the day, teachers jail Mohammed Wazir Khan, got 3 years for that, and he is apparently braces private towards the child's private and squeezed her one of her body parts here. And the matter occurred last year, March. He appeared in court this year in March, 1 year later, and he's been found guilty in this particular case. And police raided a Berbice farm up the Berbice River there. 5 guns, ganja farm destroyed. So that is something that we paying attention to. Region 6 records 26 new COVID-19 cases. Be careful, Berbice. You guys got to be very, very careful there. I'm not seeing a lot of children being infected, ending up in the hospital. It's more of the older folks, 40-something, 50-something, upwards from there. We had some way out cases, like I think in 20s, I can't remember. I think but 30-something, definitely we had a case in 30-something years. And the older folks are the ones who are really being affected here. You need to be very careful up in Berbice that you are, if you're in the markets, you're selling, you're going to the markets. If you're working in the farms or so, be very careful. You're in the rum shop. We keep thinking that we're way out of the area and so we could do what we want. It's just not Georgetown. It's happening down in Georgetown. No, it can happen anywhere. You don't know where people are traveling, where they went, who they touched, what they did, and so on. So they're there with you. You have to protect your wife. You have to protect your grandmother, your mother, and so on in the place. Do not do anything that is going to, put people in any kind of predicament there. So we are tuned into the Wake Up Guyana show here on Kaieteur Radio. It is time for us to connect with our people here. 622-222, and you can also get us on 226-7453. Do we have the caller on the line? 226-7453. Do we have somebody on the line? No, we don't. Let us see very quickly. Let us see if, yes, good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Leonard. How are you? Do?
All right, buddy. What's happening?
That's right. You
Uh,
get to it anything with this place at the back here for me? You send it. You send
no,
it down to.
I did send it to the ministry, and I think a couple of the others. I did speak. In fact, I think a gentleman from Post Office Street called yesterday from Grove Post Office Street, Waja, and he was talking about the back there. I did reach out to Raj, and I did indicate to them also they need to look behind that area there. So I'm working with it. I did send a message here to the Ministry of Local Government. Let me see if they could be able to do something. I think they're working on this right now.
And another problem. You see when you come to this main road, you see side of M&M, they got three, like they're putting up three houses now on the roadside. And just at the turn avenue here, just to come out from north to south, you can't see somebody put up a stand there, and it's dangerous to drivers. When you come to turn to the west, you got to come to the
That
little
is
road
just
ahead.
opposite the M&M stand.
Yes, they got another stand put out there. It's two stand there close to Guyana, another on the
Whose
turn.
stand is that?
I don't know, Leonard, but this thing is dangerous. I mean, everybody wants to live in, but still you got to find your
No, no, no,
place
no,
to
no.
live.
You cannot inconvenience the rest of the country because you want to live. I want to live in too. Should I go to the airport and squat on the tarmac and put up a
No, I don't know.
thing?
I don't know who. I called the NDC and told them about this thing, but I don't.
No,
see
nobody's
nobody.
paying attention. I hear these things here, and I keep wondering where is the overseer, and it keeps getting me upset that we have people within there and nobody's seeing. I'm seeing it. The commuters are seeing it. Everybody's seeing it. There's a coconut stand. Somebody there died
Yes,
recently.
right.
You got to see the mess in that area. Not too long I passed, and I just happened to glance because if you're driving, you got to be careful in the Diamond Road. It's so dangerous. So
I'm
I just
wondering-
happened to glance at it, and I see it's really dirty. We got some dirty people in this place.
Let me tell you. I'm wondering if the NDC or the Minister of Public Works have the energy to do this thing. Because when you call the NDC, I think it's just we just wasting time on the NDC there. Nobody seems to do anything. All we do is sit on the side. They told me they're going to send the ranger. I don't know if the ranger gone out of this country and then he can come back.
When last time you talked to them?
Last week.
Call them back again and ask
Yeah.
them to please do
Why is
it.
it chaos in this place? I call them same time.
I'm gonna have to have it. I don't understand. I mean, when I think Gildarie was there as a chairperson, and I had a pretty good. I speak to a lot of the councillors from time to time. I know them, and I think they were working. But there's an issue here they would have to look at and maybe collaborate with the Ministry of Local Government, because you're talking here about engaging tree banks. And this has to do with planning too. If there's a drain at the back there or there's a trench at the back there, how do you put your fence right up to the back of the trench?
Now it tells.
So that's the madness that we're talking about. So they gotta find some kind of way of fixing
Leonard,
it.
to my thinking, the only way that thing can done, the government got to build the fence 10 feet back inside, and then you break the outside fence for some truck or some high mark to pass here. Otherwise, nothing can pass here to be done.
No, the people telling me about the snakes there. But I hear you. I'm gonna continue to work with them with this, but you gotta work with me too. It's not my job alone. You gotta work with me, right?
I'm working with you, with everybody.
Yeah. But start every week. You call them 2-3 times, telling you talking to the radio every day. It's on the radio.
Later on, take charge.
Thank you very much, my brother. So a good day to all the folks there in Diamond. I want to say good day to Angelina, 10-year-old, was texting us and saying hello, couple of well days. So I went downstairs yesterday and I called the kid. I want to know, aren't you in school or something? She says, you know what happened? I'm 10 years old, and my mom and my dad are tuned into the Wake Up Guyana show here. They're from the west coast of Demerara, and every single day, and they enjoy it. And I wanted to say hi to you, so I want to say good day to that family there, and that girl, remarkable little kid, reminds me of my little daughter there, and I want to tell you that you have a very good disposition, and I like that. Keep it up. Good day to you, sir, your boss and listeners. I never give praise to your program. I would never give praise to your program because I heard so many people did it. But today I take this opportunity to say, Mr. Leonard, you're doing a great job. With all fairness to all, I admire the chemistry with your partners, Dr. Yog, W.R. Riaz, and when you pull it, Raj. Sir, today salute to your organization and your parents. My contribution to society is for the medical department to pay more emphasis on prostate and breast cancer. So there is no terrazocin 2 milligram tablets at the public hospital of Georgetown. There is that is a generic drug that is used to treat enlarged prostate. Just hope that you forward this to the relevant authorities. Yes, thank you very much. I will do that. I keep doing this every single day. I think every night you could guarantee that Colin Crowell, as the Minister of Housing, is going to receive something from me. But you know what? Kudos and credit to that gentleman there. He's never complained and said, "Please, Gildarie, don't fill up my inbox like this. Go to the PR department." He's always been very respectful, very accommodating. I want to say good day to the Minister of Housing, Colin Crowell, and of course to your co-minister there, Susan Rodriguez. I hope many persons would have been calling about the house lots, and so I know that you have made it very clear that you're working to highlight those lands, pinpoint the lands that they could open to new housing schemes and for house lots and so on. So please keep us posted on what is happening there so we could share with the people of Guyana. Let me see. Hi, Leonard. I listen to your boss Glenn Lal program Monday night, Wednesday, and Friday. It's very informative, but I have one problem understanding him. I sent him a text asking him if he wants the nation to support him to petition the government, to support the government to bring the oil companies to the table to bargain for a better deal. After 5 or 6 nights of sending the text, I don't know if he gets it, but I will like I wouldn't like him to torment as a I don't know what this is. That means mouth, giant or a pop gun, like the people who made the wrong deals. Have a great day. I will tell this to him. I am going to send this to him too. Hello, Leonard. During the run-up to the election, to the campaign for President, Ramutar promised that if he gets into the office, to do something about the people bills, because it was 160 barrel for fuel and it was reduced to 110 about the same time he got into office. He said he would subsidize the water bill and the light bill for pensioners, and he did so. When the administration changed in 2015, the infrastructure minister and the government removed the subsidies of the pensioner and took it back to $160 per barrel for the fuel. There was a good gentleman every Thursday night who used to have a press conference at 7:30, and he'd take the infrastructure minister to task concerning the matter about the water and lights that Mr. Ramatar gave us, because at that time it was down to $80 per barrel. The minister says he has knowledge of that and is using the extra money for GPL to put in new posts for lights and removing the rotten ones, changing the cables and upgrading the Garden of Eden plant. At present, this government has to do what he said he would do. I'd like to know where all the money he said that he would have spent gone, and also the scandal of fraud that he was involved in at the asphalt plant at the Demerara Harbour Bridge, also the magical move by the Chinese company to put $9,000 in his bank account. Could that gentleman that speak here has about 10 to 3 about Pato, because he said he did a lot of work, and ask him about his cards. Please ask him to keep his cards close to his chest. Well, I think we get a gist of what is this. There's a lot of criticisms here about the former Minister of Public Infrastructure, David Patterson, who was on a press conference this morning with the Alliance for Change as well. Do we have another caller so far, sir? Yes, good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Go right ahead. Hello? Hello?
Hi, good day.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. Go right ahead.
I'd like to address one concern.
Yes.
There's been 3 holes in the middle before you reach Mahika Bridge Junction. In the middle of the road about nearly a month now, and nobody looking after the hole.
I did send, somebody did call, and I did send that to Minister Deodat in there. Minister Deodat in there said he sent somebody there. And
sorry, the hole getting more worse right now.
Could you do me a favor? Just send me a picture of it if you're in that vicinity. There, just stop, take a picture, send it to me. We'll make sure that we have all the areas there so I could see it where exactly this thing is located. I did get on to Deodat in there. In fact, I pestered him 3 times till he said he sent the entire team along there. I don't know whether they went to the wrong place.
No, nothing has done for about 3 weeks now. Because every day I traverse in that.
No, please take that picture for me, send it to me, and let me work on it right away back again, because I did engage the minister on that.
Okay, and I get extra worse right now. Every time you damage the tires, every time.
No, you got to be very careful and take your time and driving, all right?
Yeah, okay, sir.
Thank you, my brother. Bye-bye. Good afternoon, Len. If this could be mentioned, please mention it. Last Tuesday night between 7:30 and 7:45, I answered the question on Talk News 103 FM radio successfully, winning myself $500 in GT&T telephone credit. And Leonard, up to now, after numerous calls to the radio station and GT&T personally, I'm being given the royal wrong. It's not a $5,000 credit. There's a principle that is involved. In addition, I've heard the other winners also complained bitterly about getting the credit from GT&T after answering the questions correctly. The person on the news talk radio told me he's already texted the winning telephone numbers to GT&T, and there's nothing more that he can do. As I've said, it's not the $500 credit; it's the principle that is involved. Thank you. All right, that's interesting there. Hi, good afternoon, Uncle Leonard. There's Angelina Manny. You see, here we go again, the little girl. Thank you very much, my dear. Have a good day. Good day, brother. I listened to your program, and this is what I want to raise. Look at, came across this 14% VAT still being charged today. I'd like to hear the views on this. Water and light bill carry no VAT. Let me see what this is. GT&T. I am going to raise this matter here. I'm going to bring GT&T, not GT&T, GRA back on the program. Let's say Monday, Tuesday time, and we're going to engage them on this VAT and what is happening. I'm going to show him that. What we could do, Monday, let's get all these bills that are getting VAT on it, that you believe that shouldn't have any VAT charges, and let us see if GRA could tell us something, what they understand, what the law says, and what are they willing to tolerate. Good day, sir. I'm peeved about what I read in your newspaper about Gaisuko, and it's the intention to purchase a new fleet of machines. Please read the following contribution I've written. Cameco is a failure for Guyana, whose idea it is to have these heavy machineries for tender cane beds. Cameco's may have worked in Louisiana because the land is all flat. Is that the case here? Who gave this advice? Leonard, you do not know that already Kamikos were here in the late 80s during President Hoyt's time for trial, and they failed. Saw them at Albion Port Moran cultivation with my own eyes. They're too heavy, and when the rain falls, they make the matters worse. This isn't a made-up story. Ask Guy Suko to confirm if Kamikos weren't here already. I think they did say that it was here already, but they didn't give much details as to what kind of track record was there. So after the failure, Gaisuko got rid of them. Guess what was doing the job? The very faithful CAT D6SA track type tractors. After Gaisuko became nationalized in 1976, the then President Burnham had these machines bought after he had the already successful, I think is the IH TD-18 buried, yes, literally. And so the D6 served from that time until well into 2000, where they were pulled off. Borbis had 6 of them serving Rose Hall, Skeldon, and Albion, Port Moran. As these operators, and they would tell you what was working and what's not. From our situation here, we need crawler type tractors. Bring them back. Caterpillar D6 tractors or equivalent, not the ineffective wheeled type tractors like the Wise Alec in Gaisuko back in the 90s recommended, claiming it's cutting costs for Gaisuko. Good crop husbandry will yield high production. That's common sense. Now with the introduction of the wheel type tractors, and I think this goes on. Okay, good. What this gentleman is saying, why don't Gaisuko seek advice from those who actually have been involved in mechanical tillage, not somebody brought in from America wearing a suit and tie? Not that I have anything against a suit and tie, but let's be pragmatic and pretend he knows what's good for Gaisuko. Let's be real. Who knows what is best about sugar cultivation other than the man that tills the soil? I challenge anyone to prove me wrong, otherwise I'm getting out of patience. Once again with square pegs and wrong hole. And like you say, Wake Up Guyana show, enough of the gross incompetence. Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa, kindly take note and advise Gaisuko accordingly. Don't let this go down or it come back to haunt. And of course, I'm going to send this to the relevant authorities there. Do we have another caller online? Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Go right ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Gildarie.
Good afternoon, sir.
A couple of things I want to say. GTMT, you listen, sir?
Mm-hmm. I'm listening to you. You're on air. Very clear.
Yes. GTMT, we used to pay $500 for rental. They move it to $800. I want the government to revoke that. Now,
They had gone to the Public Utilities Commission and asked them to raise the rental.
and two, the water meter that I installed, we used to pay $250 and that happened time, and then I raised it to $500. Seeing that we are pension, we're not supposed to pay for that at all. You understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
We're not supposed to pay if you give up free water, we're not supposed to pay rental. Because remember, you put a meter to see how much water we use. That doesn't mean that we supposed to pay that rental. You put it now and now they will run some, they will put some pole in people's yard right now at Kaieteur, and they will put some new meter. You understand what's going on?
That's the GPL meters you're talking about.
Yes.
Right.
Now the meter has been more fast than this meter.
We get a lot of complaints about that, and you know what? GPL again. I don't think these people. I'm not sure, and I can't even begin to tell you. There's going to be a.
I'm trying to say, listen carefully. Me got your energy in my house. Me not pay more than 3,000, 4,000, but during the October month, the place was so hot in the night. I use my fan.
Uh-huh.
So when me get me light bill, it come up 4,500. Now when you put a meter there, and me not see it up on a pole, and them a monitor them in Georgetown, they can send a bill for $100,000 to use. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can send $40,000. And now me now use more than $3,000, $300, $400, $500. And when that will come, what's going to happen with the pensioner body? What's going to happen in this country? What Irfan is doing? He's the president. He has to stamp his authority. These things, the minister should have taken to him and let him know. Now when you come on the NDC, they are not doing their work no matter how good them there. All of them get on salary, and that's fine with them. Now, when NDC job, the overseers have to come out, let me just say, you know what happened? 3 road bad here. Katrina 3 road bad. Leonard 2 road bad. They can now me see them and do the road with bitumen. Okay, that's supposed to go to the regional chairman. They take it up in Jackson for the next budget to come. Okay, we can't do 3 here, we can do 2. We can do 2, we can do 1. You understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
But they are not coming out of the thing. Let me show something. Right in front of me. Right when my pipe break 3 times with truck. And I put a board at the thing. In a black nobody. The neighbor go and bring NDC to on me and says that me buggy. And the thing there in my front. I clean my drain. I read my parapet. He not up on the road. He off the road far off. But just because you got a car, you want to drive. You want me to take it out. Why didn't take it out?
Right.
There.
Uh-huh.
Why didn't I look after and stand one bill in share main scheme there? Every day stand a bill and I'm a pass the NDC, I'm a pass up and down. Then I go stop the people there. And when they try to dig this out, you don't dig already. When we dig the next time, is it going to be a problem because I had a problem to dig.
Yeah.
And that's since the trend rig, me drain about another. You see when the women fall, I saw even left. But I thank the PPP government that no sooner they go in, they go start to do work. And then they do work, both trench. And people now complain about it. You understand what I'm saying?
All right, I got
Police
you.
force.
Uh-huh.
The police force, all of them who involved you. So let me tell you something. You got 20% of the police force are going to go, and the 80% want for full pocket money. Poor people were there and drive, and if you cost them it, they rock up. When the bandit attack your house, you call, they don't have a vehicle, they don't have this, they don't have that, and I can't come and everything. This is the nonsense for going on in this country. And this police force want restructure from top to bottom, brother.
Well, it's
And
not
if it doesn't
restructured. Some people
restructure-
need to be jailed.
Yes, I am.
Let me tell you, I'm not making jokes about this. This thing is very, very serious. What you see happening there,
The Kaieteur happened. They must hold the car with the gun, they put it in the station, somebody was wrong there. Oh, God, the money part? Oh, me, mama,
or they could be another thing too. They had a time in Guyana. Maybe you're old enough to remember.
I know.
And if all of a sudden you see some people get caught, next thing you know, they found them with illegal guns.
Let me
Where you believe the gun compound?
I was a very young chap working at the factory, Leonard factory. And I be black people all have come out and watch your food. Then born on time. And the whole we lock you up. About 20 some have be black and Indian. And the whole have be for treason. For 6 months I got to be. Carry this day some try when they think we try Leonard. And people come over carry and piece it book take it to the beyond, you know. Right? One black guy mother what big PNC, top PNC. She could have get you out.
Mm-hmm.
You tell him, now I try to show you. You're trying to do good at this at all times. But let me tell you something. The old people that want to get pension, the young, and let me tell you, you should know. I mean, I want to mention, you should know who do the robbery. You should know who are thing. And they go to attack the old people, and especially when they live in a house them alone, like America, they go attack for break and go on. But then again, nothing, they rape the woman, they kill him, for a man and kill him. That was good. That what happens, Scotty. This police force has to restructure about it.
Thank you very much for that, and as always, you're right on point there. All right.
Somebody come under them.
No, absolutely, but it got to be. It has to be across the board. It has to be across the board. Somebody.
No bonus for them, man. Don't give them no bonus. Grades never getting no bonus. No
right,
bonus.
right across this thing, someone need to sit down and says, "Look, we need to fix this." But you got to be. You know, it's gonna rock the boat. A lot of people gonna be angry, but guess what? If you're the only one that's saying the right thing inside that room there, and it is the right thing for this country, so be it. I think the Guyanese people are smart enough to understand and recognize that. We need strict people.
You know, and that's the thing. The people that are all over the place without masks, if you see them like a hanji banji all over the place, I tell you something, brother. They don't know what COVID. Until when they get them, say, okay, go.
All right. Thank you very much, dear, my brother.
Yeah, you know, this thing, let me tell you, every day I watch American news.
Yeah,
yeah. Watch with the Trump thing yesterday. You know what, give up, you know.
No, he doesn't want to give up. But guess what? This world is changing. That might have been good in the 1980s and so on. Not now. Social media, the whole world is watching. All right? Have a pleasant rest of the day, my brother.
All right, brother.
Thank you very much. So I want to say to you, it is just about 1:59 now. Good afternoon. Sorry, in a few of the Chinese supermarket and other shops have a lot of expired items. Yes, most of them have expiry days past 6 months. These Chinese want to kill us. When we took back the stuff to them, they don't want to take back the stuff. Now, this thing is very, very simple. Whenever you see anything like that, there's a food and drugs department. From next week, I'm going to be walking with a book up here, the directory. And so maybe we could start getting. But get your directory, start calling the food and drugs, the EPA, start calling them, start deluding them with complaints. And when you see they're not doing the work, start writing letters. Like I said before, you got to take this up to the next level here very, very quickly. And so right about now, it is time. It is the Ethnic Relations Commission in collaboration with UG and the United Nations Resident Coordinator's Office will host a national conversation on how ethnic relations in Guyana can be improved. The event will be done virtually on December the 14th and 15th, and you will be invited to participate and make contributions. Look out for updates and the countdown to December the 14th, ERC promoting harmony and good relations. So we will, at this point in time, also just remind you that there is time to take out your insurance. You know, do not just allow yourself to be without an insurance. And CARICOM General Insurance Company is telling you to please beat the rush and get insured today. Get your home insured today at great deals. CARICOM General Insurance Company, Inc. at 121 Regent and Arnock Streets. To better serve you, you can now purchase your insurance online from the comfort of your home. Telephone 225-1787 or 269-0020. So right about now, we take an ad break. And when we come back, more calls, more messages as we get ready to invite in a very short while Dr. Yog Mahadio. And he and I got some catching up to do. And of course, I like to pick his brains, torment him a little. We will be back with you shortly on the Wake Up Guyana show on Kaieteur News.
Nice up your home for Christmas at Singers. Spend $20,000 or more between now and December 21st and be one of 4 winners of a Singer 55-inch Ultra HD television. Singer at home worldwide.
Imagine up to $500,000 cash in your hand. Shop at Singer from now to December 21 and win your share of $2 million. Spend $20,000 or more and be one of 4 winners of $250,000 each. Plus, 2 lucky shoppers will each win $500,000. Get cash in your hand for the Christmas at Singer. With 6 months, no interest, and up to 36 months to pay. Singer at home worldwide.
Thank you very much and welcome to the Wake Up Guyana show here on Kaieteur Radio, coming to you live from our Saffron Street studio on 99.1 in Esquibo and Demerara, and if you're in Berbice, it's 99.5. We also streaming to you live on Facebook, Kaieteur Radio on Facebook, or on YouTube. It is Kaieteur Radio live stream on Facebook. So right about now, here is a message from a viewer listener. Good afternoon, sir. Is there a phone number or office you can contact about the $25,000 cash grant, especially for the people who miss it because they were not at home at the time when the people came to give out? They visit some homes and they didn't visit some. Glad if you can shed some light so we can get it all. So thank you very much. Whichever area that you're in, visit your NDC or your RDC. They should have a very clear idea. They're using people from the NDC and the RDC as well as from the police and representatives from the Ministry of Finance. Start there. We've asked for some people to come on, and of course, I think they're waiting to get some updates on it. I'm going to be having a chat again with Nigel Darmlal, the minister, and see whether we can bring him on for him to tell us what is happening in the various regions. Good afternoon, Leonard. Can I get the NIS number for the inquiries? Yes, of course. It's 639-6400, 639-6400. If you have an issue at NIS and you want to complain and you happen to have your documents in your hand right away, you could call them on 639-6400. That's a GM, General Manager's number that she's set up to take complaints. So it's 639-6400, and they could probably be able to advise you. Do we happen to have a caller online? Good afternoon, caller. On the air. Go right ahead.
Hi, Leonard.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you, man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
There's a section in New Amsterdam called Angais Avenue, or you call it Cowdam.
I know Angais Avenue, yes.
Good.
Uh-huh.
There's a pool in a particular area, and the street next to it is a street named Timor's Dam. My brother, they got a heap of garbage down there for weeks and weeks, and this thing smelling like vinegar. I don't know if you ever smell vinegar. I went to the council. I'm not living in the area there. I went to the council, and they tell me a rigmarole story. They had a bin, and eventually they moved the bin, and the people just keep on throwing the garbage there because there's no bin.
And then who's in charge of this area here? Which NDC
That's
or which
very good question.
What about is there, I think, New Amsterdam. In New Amsterdam, there is a mayor and town council. Am I not correct?
The mayor is not living far from the area, my brother.
Well, here what to do. This is very, very good. If he's on Facebook and you got somebody, take the picture, tag him, tag Kaieteur News, tag Gildarie, and we send it to him too.
Yeah.
But when you call him, did you try calling them?
I went into them.
When?
Yesterday.
And what did they tell you?
I want to talk about it, buddy. That's why I say the rigmarole story.
Well, very nicely, this is what you could do, and we could accommodate you. You're a citizen, you're a resident in New Amsterdam. You went in and you complained, and what did they tell you? Write a nice letter to the newspaper, stating who you talked to and what they said to you.
We got some newspaper reporters. They're only targeting one.
No, don't do the newspaper reporter. Put the name and name the people. And listen to me when I tell you. We got 101 cases. Don't push the reporters. And the reporters are going behind a lot of this corruption things and so on. But you got to do your job as well. That's what I'm saying to you guys. I want you to help us to push this country to the next level. Don't allow it to other people to do it. Just you make sure that you help us with that. That's what.
And next issue, well, what I talked before with Cowdam is human being live there.
Right.
If it was cow and sheep, the flies alone would chase them away, buddy. It's human being living there. And I can see, look, right under the nose of the town hall, right under the nose, this guy's street named Pitt Street. Anytime the rain said, let me go, Pitt Street in a mess.
I heard about that. I heard about that.
Amsterdam, just by the grace of God. Just by the grace of God.
Oh my
Straight
goodness.
full up.
But I don't understand if you have a mayor in Hong Kong. So it seems as if there's a sickness with Hong Kongers across this land. The only areas that I don't really get a lot of complaints about is Region Two. Region Two seems to be doing a decent job. There may be some politics involved there, but it seems to be doing a decent job there. Riverton, I don't really hear a lot of stuff happening there, but it seems as if Georgetown and New Amsterdam seems to have a big problem.
Well, what I could tell you is that Region 6 divided into A and B.
Uh-huh.
A, you got to call quarantine is A. B is New Amsterdam, Maro.
Yes.
The place really in a stiff. You don't know who to go to. They're saying to here, go to there, go to here. They got too much of women working in the place, man.
But I don't understand why is it, and like, this is a question that baffles me and has been worrying me for a little while. How is it that you could live in an area, represent the people, and then have the area in that particular way? How could you do that? How could you live with yourself? How could you sleep at the end of the night?
Well, everybody drinking soup different. That's how you look at it.
I don't know about that. I mean, I all I could say is shame on them to allowing the place. If you need help, you know that there's so many places that would want to help you, that would want to do a twin city kind of arrangement. So you could link up with a city down in Canada, maybe in India or somewhere, and they could give you some help. There's so many things that you could do. You could get systems where citizens come together and you have a street competition. There's so many things. I mean, I'm not a politician. I'm not thinking. I mean, somebody's not thinking. These guys have university degrees and so on. What's happening?
My brother, you don't have to get to university and so on. It's common sense.
Common sense.
You pass in a place business stink. Is who living wrong here, man? Look.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He lives right there. I mean, these people live there. They have to be because they're councillors. They have to be in the area.
If I tell you something, talking about the same Angus Avenue, one of the clerks, sanitation, why is living right inside the area there? Right inside the living. Now, in New Amsterdam, there's a big businessman or people get the trucks and emptying the garbage at a place like New Forest or a place a little past Everton or Bournemouth area. I don't know if it's because they don't want to pay a fee or something.
All right.
How are we going to live like this, buddy?
Yes. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank
One
you very
thing
much.
more. NATI. You know when you go to a school and you pass and see how the school looking after years, look, the principal quarters. People want place to live. You won't believe that principal used to live there.
Yes.
Oh, my brother, if you see New Amsterdam, it's falling down. I hear you call a certain name, but I ain't going to tell you nothing.
Thank you very much, my brother. Don't
Later.
call anything. God bless. All the way from Berbice there, I want to say good day to the New Amsterdam folks. And somebody did correct me there just now. The NIS number that I had given out, it looked as if I had 439. It is not 439. It's 600 0639 600 0639. My apologies there. I'm not sure where I got that number from. So try that and the 439 number. Any one of the two. I think it's a 639. But a good friend of ours who always listens to us did correct me. 600 0639. Very quickly, let me see what Derek is saying here. Good afternoon, Leonard. The road from Brazil to Guyana that the Brazilian government is pursuing, let's be honest, expect an invasion of Brazilians. Let me be clear. Brazilians are some of the most racist people in the world. Go to Rio and Sao Paulo. Guyanese wake up and demand their country, otherwise you will all be controlled by the Chinese, Brazilians, and many others. Leonard, effective immediately, the government of Guyana must introduce an apprenticeship program in Guyana for my Guyanese brothers and sisters. Otherwise, they'll be lost in this new economy that is coming to Guyana. Sir, now with all these new hotels coming, when will we get a brand new hospital for the sake of my Guyanese? And that is coming all the way from wherever, I think New York or somebody here. Derek Hawk, a good day to you, my brother. Good afternoon, sir. GPL need to do better. Almost 3 weeks now, my wife applied for light, and we can't get back yet. We keep calling almost every day at Main Street where we apply, but the answer to them guys coming to collect you, but nobody shows up. 225-1471, 225-1471. There's some very good folks, very accommodating, at least that's what they tell us. At the GPL there, it's the public relations department there. You could ask them, and you could ask them, tell them that you call the Kaieteur radio here, and they advise you 225-1471. And let us see where that goes from there. Thank you very much for that. Good afternoon. Do we have another caller in here? Okay, Yog is on the air. Thank you very much. Yog is early. I'm not sure. He didn't send anything for a very long time to the studio here, but let us see what happened. Hi, Leonard. Good afternoon. While we wait on him to come through. Good afternoon, Yog. This seems as if I have a feeling it's almost like deja vu. Did I see you in the same shirt about 2 weeks back? I'm not sure. Could you answer before we get right on into the people's business?
Of course, it is the same shirt.
I'm just kidding you, my brother. I have the same shirt. Maybe I wore some time
That's
back.
okay. It's the same person in the same shirt.
How are you doing? All right?
Very well, thank you.
Very
Listening to your show, very good interaction with the people there, I must say.
well. The people they're better. I have a bad attitude, but the people have made me come down to earth. I have to be very humble because these are very brutal people. There's no other thing. I've learned one thing, Yoga. If there's a lesson that I've learned here, a gentleman just said it. If there's anything that is really good that is better than a degree in the college, it's common sense. And so they got a lot of people with common sense out there would eat some of the people with university degrees for dinner or lunch or breakfast or something. So I said, let me
Of course.
yeah, let me get hold of you
Of
today
course.
and ask you what is it that you're doing and just pick your brains as normal. It's always good to hear from Dr. Yog Mahadio, somebody who keep his finger very closely on the tab of things for Guyana. And Yog, so what are some of the things that are bothering you today, or some of the things that Guyana should take notice of?
There are a lot of things. Look, a couple of things I'll say at the start, Leonard. The gentleman that called you from Leonora, I think, about the machines and the heaviness of machines. That gentleman has a really, really good point. And Gaisuku doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. They've been there and done that. Anyway, I'm not going to say much on that, but there are enough expertise around to provide the necessary kind of advice. The other matters that I think is of great concern to the people of Guyana, Leonard, it is seriously worrying how the COVID-19 spread has really happened, and it is not good. And I want to just urge everybody out there, your life is your own, and if there is any time in your life that you could tell others, mind your business and stay out of my face, please, this is the time to do it. It's on an increase, Leonard. I mean, Guyana is not a cold country. You expect the second and third wave in the US and Canada and Sweden and so forth and so on, because it's winter time there already. But Guyana, we are fortunate to have warm weathers, and if we can stay away from each other and stop the exposure, stay away in terms of wear your mask, observe the protocol. So I'm very worried about our people and the fact that COVID is on the increase, Leonard. And the other thing I want to quickly mention, I have a serious problem that Guyana in the year 2020, we're having gambling houses next to schools, bars and rum shops licenses granted next to schools. There are certain things that we shouldn't be telling the authorities. Leonard, a gambling establishment ought not to be within certain distances from a public school or a private school, especially if the school has been there long before. And if the school is not there long before, the school shouldn't be given a license to operate next to a gambling house. I mean, these things, how can the politicians expect that we must tell them these things, Leonard?
Well, all right.
So what's bothering me, that's one of the things bothering me now.
Well, I like to always pick your brain, so I want to get down to it. I'm aware of there's a casino at Princess. I'm not aware. I think there's away from the schools, and there's some kind of level of control there. And I know that there are plans to have one in operation on Church Street at the Sleeping Hotel there. Are we talking about these other gambling facilities?
Yes.
What is it? What are we talking about here?
Well, there are a number of smaller, and there is one big establishment that is in Georgetown, that a school is obliquely opposite one of the offices. in the developed world, certain types of advertisement even are not allowed. In Guyana, we have, I mean, I'm just using this as an example. We passed the anti-smoking, the no tobacco legislation a couple of years ago. And, there's not supposed to be smoking in public places. But, Leonard, unless and until we have zoning laws that can be enforced and enforceable, we're going to continue to have these problems. So there are a few establishments, I think smaller establishments that have set themselves up, and it's opposite and near to schools. And also, the authorities need to look out for those people who are selling, whether it's a scratch card or selling any of these things, and they're selling it camped out in front of schools. Those are things we need to look out for.
Well, absolutely, and I'm not sure who's paying attention, who are the regulators, who are the monitors, and so on. The police seems to be stretched in doing everything, whatever it is that they're doing. But
Leonard, you see, hold on a second. You see, this thing, first of all, a gambling entity needs to be licensed. That's not police. So when they grant them the license, they need to know where they're going to be operating from. What's the proximity to a school? What's the proximity to a temple or a church or a masjid? What's the proximity to children especially? I don't care about, much of the other stuff except for protecting our children.
I agree with you, Yog, and that is something. If we're talking about the quality of life and the quality of life in Guyana here, and if we be talking about, I think somebody did just mention zoning, and this is something I think a couple of years back, the issue of sleeping and there was a temple there, the mosque that went up there that the guy from the UAE, the prince, visited the other day. And there were objections from some very prominent citizens from Queenstown as to the location of some of these businesses. And a lot of people were fearful that, areas that were considered residential for a very long time, high-end, or where they agreed that when they went into that area, that they didn't want these things. And in any case, it comes back to what you would have agreed to. But I want to say to the people of Guyana that zoning will be a very big thing. Georgetown might be the way it is, and nothing could really change in that. But moving forward, it is an area that they would have to look into. And that is what caused, this is something that I could tell you based on the knowledge that I have, what caused James Bond and so to be in trouble, because the people, I think it was in the Windsor Estate, complained about this company that was going to do chemical processing for the oil and gas sector within the area, Windsor Estate there. And I think when they started investigating this company, how did you get it? And who put you there? That is when they discovered that they got a land through Nissel and so on, and everything went, it exploded from there. But it comes back to the issue of zoning too. How do you solve the situation in Georgetown, which seems to be on a runaway train with all these, especially with all these big hotels that are going to come and so on?
Yeah, well, Leonard, you mentioned something else there. Look, zoning is one, and we got to also appreciate, I think, that as the city expands and as the way of life changes. I mean, 60 years ago, Water Street was the street, was Georgetown 60, 70 years ago. Now it's more or less uninhabitable to an extent in some places and stuff like that. But as the face and nature of Guyana changes, there will be areas that will have to change and undergo change. But there needs to be planning and infrastructural planning. You mentioned something interesting there, those lands at Windsor Estates and so forth. Leonard, I don't know if Kaieteur News and Stabroek News and Chronicle or whoever, if ever we had published for public interest all the blocks of lands that were sold or leased, issued one way or another to individuals or companies, and what is the size of the land. I think it's time that we have full disclosure of a number of things, including lands that would have been given away or issued let's say, for the past 10 years, 15 years. Let's not just look at what happened 2 years ago. Let's look at what happened between 8 to 10 years ago. Start 10 years back. Say, okay, here is what. We give 4, 10, 40 acres of land to Leonard. And here is the state of that land. Because I tell you what's happening. There are lands there are lands that have been acquired as the example we have seen in recent newspaper accounts, acquired by friends and families of various governments. Leonard, they're washing money. They're doing lots of things with these lands, and lands change hands, and people don't know, and people don't see, and people don't really know what is going on. But I want to remind everybody, the amount of players, Leonard, that would be involved in things of these magnitude, the players are not necessarily the entire country. It's a handful of players. And maybe it is time this country sit up and take notice. Who and what are these handful of players? Look at the bond issue and, look at the players involved and see whether some of those names would have been mentioned before in other deals and in other things. There's always been issues there's issues with co-op societies complaining of their lands taken away. There's issues of Gaisuku lands going missing, and there's issue of government sharing out and doling out acreages to its people. Now, when you go, you're going to go for what? A 50 by 60 or 50 by 80 size land for a medium or high income. And God, Guyana has so much land, and we should be planning. I must give credit. The PPP has been good in planning new housing schemes, and this is in the past. And I think they're going to do it again, planning new areas and infrastructure that follows here. What I don't like is that many times the accessibility to these land by people and for people is not necessarily as easy as one would think. It's okay to have a thing at Providence Stadium and have 100 persons or 2,000 persons line up there. But when you're making of people, there must be a better system. There must be a better way we can do these things, Leonard.
I thank you very much for that, Yoga. And you know what is worrying? And we got to put it, there's another way of looking at it too. Right about now, the Central Housing and Planning Authority, according to the information that we have in excess of 60,000 applications for house lots, as well as turnkey homes. It's a combination, but more for house lots. And they are saying that they have run out of lands because they don't really have lands in which they could really give to the people. So they're looking, they're pinpointing, they're all over the place from Lethem to the West Demerara area. I think the president would have gone across there to look at some lands which is going to create a highway from Parika down to where the new harbor bridge is going to be by Peters Hall there in that area. The whole point is we have run out of lands according to CHMPA. And when you look at whose hands these things have gone in, and when you talk, you did raise a very good point there, which is the accessibility. How come a handful of people would know and have access and make money off it, and a normal man in the street like myself, I'm a very poor, flat feet kind of guy that is there, don't know about it? And when we would have investigated this entire East Bank issue here with those lands, I could recall there was one particular case that got me very, very angry. It involved a plot of land that went to the Chinese owned by Shanling. That company that was disgraced because of so many things that it did to the people of Guyana. And it showed that a gentleman or a company, BK International, which is owned by Tiwari, applied and got a plot of land. It's 100 acres just behind where the National Stadium is. And this is prime land. This land here was bought afterwards for $1.3 billion. But here the kicker is, Brian Tiwari applied for it, paid, maybe, I don't know if he paid the entire thing, got through his company this land here in a new company name for about $300 million. Not sure whether everything was paid out for. As soon as he got it, so he flipped it within a month or two to the Chinese company for either $4 or $8 million. I gotta confirm it back. He made, just by sitting down on that thing there, $4 million without doing nothing, turning a straw. Is it because he's a privileged member of society? Is it that because they're the white collar guys and we the rest are we different color or something? We don't know. Somebody need to give us an explanation. But these are the things that people are looking, they're watching, and they're seeing, and then you have a bunch of people on the flip side of that stealing millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, getting paid back for something or the other, whether it's oil deals or something. And a man steal two things and he ends up 3 years in jail, or get a spliff or something above 8 grams of marijuana, ends up 3 years in jail. What are we doing, Yog?
I agree with you, Leonard. Your comparisons there are good. I mean, excellent. Look, the truth is we have seen it happen before. Oil blocks were basically given away and flipped immediately for hundreds of millions of dollars. Here is a case where the land itself, as you speak about, was given away or sold for a certain amount, and the guy just flipped it. An important point that both you and I mentioned is that the people of Guyana, the people who don't have the contacts, who don't have, other than throwing a garland around the president's neck or adoring them for some whatever reason, they don't have access to the information. Look, you want to know why we run out of lands? Look who own all the lands for where any proposed highway is going to be made. You will see lands, people with insider information, Leonard, making a lot of money with going and occupying or claiming and owning lands. We have seen persons of the immediately former government mining claims and house lands and lands wherever and all over the place. Mining lands haven't been spoken about yet, but there are persons of this last government that were raping Guyana, very much like their predecessors, right? Just taking and taking and taking. Sometimes I ask, Leonard, Guyana probably needs more of Dr. Bhairo Hari. All of the politicians they probably need some real good, psychoanalysis and psychological help. Because what are you going to do with 200, 500 acres of land? You will only need a little urn for your ashes when you go. What are you going to do with that? You hold it up. You got people hold up huge swaths of land. And, if your foreparents bought it, whatever, I don't have a problem. But look, in this day and age, Guyana needs to urgently relook at the landmass it has, relook at in 15 to 20 years, where is Guyana going to move? Where is our population going to move in 15 to 20 years time? You talk about 500, 700,000 people, you might have 2-3 million people. Where are we going to move? What are we going to do? How are we going to shape this country? How are we going to shape things? And Leonard, meanwhile, you look at the revenue streams we are having, and it's shrinking. I mean, a lot of people have this thing, we got oil and lots of money. No, oil is a separate animal, and we are not going to get the kind of money we thought we could have gotten from oil because of pure mismanagement, I'll say. I'm looking for a nice soft word to land on there. But Leonard, we are going to get a humongous amount of money from oil. Now, Guyana has to look at zoning and setting up its infrastructure and setting up its industries, agricultural industry, because when oil finish in 50 years time, what we will do? What will our sons and daughters, what will your children do if we don't build a country that can then have something alternate source of income to move forward with?
I thank you for that. And if you're not joining us, we are tuned into the Wake Up Guyana show here on Kaieteur Radio. And it is, let me tell you, Yoga, there is the Ethnic Relations Commission in collaboration with UG and the United Nations Resident Coordinator's Office will host a national conversation on ethnic relations in Guyana, on how it can be improved. The event will be done virtually on December the 14th and 15th, and you will be invited to participate and make contributions. Look out for updates and the countdown to December the 14th, ERC promoting harmony and good relations. I wanted to touch base on you, and we are going to take an ad break now. I'm being told we are going to take an ad break. And when I come back, I want to talk a little bit that ERC and the need for a conversation on ethnic relations in Guyana.
Sure.
Nice up your home for Christmas at Singers. Spend $20,000 or more between now and December 21st and be one of 4 winners of a Singer 55-inch Ultra HD television. Singer at home worldwide.
Imagine up to $500,000 cash in your hand. Shop at Singer from now to December 21 and win your share of $2 million. Spend $20,000 or more and be one of 4 winners of $250,000 each. Plus, 2 lucky shoppers will each win $500,000. Get cash in your hand for the Christmas at Singer. With 6 months, no interest, and up to 36 months to pay. Singer at home worldwide.
Thank you very much and welcome back to the Wake Up Guyana show here on Kaieteur Radio. This is your host Leonard Gildarie, and we have with us such a big pleasure, Dr. Yog Mahadio. And right about now we're talking next month. It is our Ethnic Relations Commission, which is supposed to be kind of a regulator that looks out to make sure that we don't cross the line when it comes to raising ethnic tensions in Guyana. And that's just such a big word. It's about race relations, if we want to come down to the bottom. Yog, how important is this event, this forum next month? And do you believe it is going to go anywhere?
It's a start, Leonard. I support the thought, the aim, the purpose, the vision for a good ethnic relations body that can interact and intervene and do things in Guyana. Look, the Ethnic Relations Committee is a constitutional body. People got to realize that it is something mandated. It is something designed and set up by Parliament. Members of the committee are supposed to be responsible people who can encourage ethnic relations to its max. Whatever we have, Leonard, whatever we shape, the real test comes 1 year before and 1 year after elections. Well, except for the 2019, 2020, that was 2-3 years and a half. But generally, it comes 1 year before and 1 year after elections. That's the real test of how we do as an ethnic, as a multi-ethnic society. Look, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I saw something on Facebook with some person I would say don't have a brain. A human without a brain would have posted something. Minister Todd was at some function and he was eating some kind of food. I don't know, and I really don't care about the persons in the picture. But the person was posting, saying that, well, you have gone to this place and you're eating that food, and this is what they do to us. They put something in the food. Now, immediately you could draw some conclusions. Yes, it's an Indo-Guyanese kind of scenario where the person was eating from a leaf. And so, where is the ERC? Leonard, if we want to be serious about it, the ERC has to be given a lot of resources to really start nipping things in the bud. Because some of these people that have posted and shared that thing and commented were people who work in social cohesion ministry.
Wow. Imagine that, some people who are supposed to be responsible.
Correct. And so what you need to do is immediately name and shame them and put them in front of the public. There is no other way to do it. You can't hope to resolve these ethnic imbalances by keeping private in-house hearing. Gotta be open. Gotta let the people know what you're thinking about. I would like, when they're doing these investigations, the entire block of things we made public. Let people know.
Yes, and I agree. I think it's timely, but it is not going to go anywhere if it's just that we're going to have talks. So we actually got to, when it comes to monitoring, we got to make examples. You see how long we don't do it, Yog? People are going to continue saying that a slap on the wrist ain't going to work.
Leonard, you remember Rahim Rahman?
Yep.
Good. Here is my issue. I didn't post it on Facebook because the gentleman, he was told He didn't do it of his own volition. He was told, if you want to make amends, you go post a public apology. So guess what? He went and he posted a public apology to the chairman of GCOM. He insulted the entire country. He came on this show when you and I we had elections watch then. When we were on the show and cursed and insulted everybody on that show, insulted the entire country, insulted everybody who was not of his absence of brain kind of scenario. But he issued an apology to the chairman of GCOM, and all is well and good. All is not well and good because the person has showed no remorse by saying, I so extended to everybody else who might have been offended.
There's another thing too, and I guess this is gonna be the year where we're being tested to the extreme. First of all, it was the pandemic. The second thing that happened was the elections. Right about now, you have parliamentarians sitting in parliament, and every single day they're posting fake news. Imagine that. If it's not something or the other. So it is not only the ERC. You gotta have the actual privileges committee. Think within the National Assembly that actually got to be working, because when you have when you sit in there in that very, it's supposed to be a house that is supposed to be so respectful to the people of Guyana, and you have politicians for the sake of scoring cheap points are willing to split this country apart. Well, then you have another thing. And so who's going to be watching those people, especially when they're such big leaders? Because within their constituency and so on, they have a lot of respect there. Whether the respect is misplaced, that's another story. But what I could tell you, Yog, it's not only the ERC. There's going to have to be so many other regulators that is going to have to be paying attention to what is happening.
Correct, Leonard. And you mentioned that thing. I remember on November 13th, I wrote something on social media. I said that those MPs and members of the National Assembly they must be held accountable for posting and sharing fake news, making false, derogatory statements. Shame on them, man. Shame for misleading people, Leonard. But you know what? I have called on the speaker. I copied in Irfan Ali, President Ali. I copied in Bharat Jagdev. I copied David Granger, everybody in it. And I said, pull your people together. Try to be leaders, not people who are just insulting people every day. Try to be leaders, but they continue to do it. All I can say to Guyanese brothers and sisters, those of us who really see this country as our home and our heaven, I will say to you that these politicians that are posting these fake news and posting these damaging things every day, they're telling you never to vote for them again. I don't care what side they are. I don't care what party they back. If a member of parliament behaves in such an atrocious manner, behave with blatant lies, then you know what? Never vote for them again. And Leonard, Guyana has to have constitutional reform. I'm afraid this government will not do it. I'm saying it openly. But every time you get into power is a different thing. Guyana has to have constitutional reform where that listing goes away. We have to have people elected by the people of a constituency and serving the constituency. And if the constituency kick you out, they kick you out. You mustn't have lists because Granger won the list or because Jagdev won the list or Ali won the list. You must have representation by the people for the people.
I agree with you. And I think if you look at the front page of Kaieteur News today, this is exactly what Professor Tyron Cameron is saying here, that if you really want to have that kind of representation to manage your oil industry and your oil and gas that's going to be there, you have to start looking at changing the current system that we have. That is interesting. But Yog, it also speaks to another area here too. If it is that we really want change in this country, how do we start changing if you have the same system that remains? And I keep telling people, yeah, I keep telling people, if every day you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, then you're in for a rude awakening. It's like the same thing. If you have the same laws in place, maybe the same politicians in place, you don't have the will, then how are we going to deal with oil and gas, which is upon us? How are you going to deal? One of the biggest things that somebody said not too long ago is that influx. Now, Guyana wants to build that Linden Lethem Road. Right about now, you're going to hear the behavior of some GGMC officials about how many people they are allowing to go into our back dam. If you think the stealing of the lands out there is bad, Yog, you're going to see what is happening there with our forests, what is happening to our mining lands, and what is happening to those concessions, those blocks as we call them, and the claims and so on. Imagine you have a road that runs through our forests and our mining area. What you believe is going to happen when it hasn't a highway that's going to be built there. So what you got to do is put the current system, the systems that you want to protect the areas at the borders, along the areas. Make sure that our regulatory bodies are working. Because you cannot be holding people and Yog did something wrong and you come and say, Yog, please don't do that. You slap Yog on his wrist and said, that's okay, move on, next. But what happened? You got to jail Yog. You got to jail Yog and Gildarie for that.
Slap on the wrist is exactly what you see happening in any political system that recycles people all the time. I mean, I'm not going to say more on it, but that's exactly what happens. But Leonard, you are so right. Unless we can change a central system that is wrong, how can you hope to change the smaller things? Look, Guyana is contemplating what? Passing legislation for what's the technical term here, Leonard? The small amount of marijuana or whatever it is.
Yeah, they say for small quantities of marijuana, it's not automatically a jail sentence. I think people are mixing that up with the fact that if they catch you, it's not a crime. I don't think that's what they're saying.
Exactly.
They're saying that if they catch you, it's not going to be a jail sentence automatically. They're trying to reduce the numbers here. So you're not going to be allowed to smoke it on the roadside. I don't think that is indeed the case. I'm hoping not. Let's see what they come up with.
But you see, the point here is that, okay, so you have an issue like that a lot of our population are very sensitive about. But what you have it now becoming an election issue. Okay, PPP want to win this current election, we're going to pass these laws. Well, nobody in any constituency has anything to say about it because they are not represented. Who's representing you are people who they're probably born in the area, but they don't live in the area and stuff like that. But Leonard, for Guyana to really, really change and move ahead, we gotta look at a number of things and disclosure, full disclosure, public disclosure, what people are earning, what they own, empowering the Integrity Commission for the politicians, very, very important. And we need, last time I was with you here, I called for watchdog groups. I called for a couple of independent groups. We are looking at starting up something. Of course, everything needs resources. You're looking for volunteers and all kinds of things because the government, amazingly, none, and this is not this government, I'm just talking government in general. Information is not easily accessible as one might feel. You got to go, you got to go write to a commissioner of information. You got to ask favors to get certain kinds of information released. And then, of course, newspapers too have their own agenda or have their own thing to do too. So it's not an easy world if you want to come out and say, let's examine what's happening here and let's examine what's happening for the people of this country, Leonard.
But the bottom line of this, all the conclusions that you could make is that definitely we cannot remain in this place that we've been in. We have to change our attitude. If you we keep talking, if you want to be like a Dubai or a Singapore or a Malaysia, it takes a special kind of discipline. It takes a special kind of will from not only the leadership but from the people. You got to change the culture of throwing garbage, the culture of giving a bribe, the culture that everything that you walk into a government ministry or entity, that the service must be lousy, it must be crappy, and that's what we give to the people. You got to change all of that. You got to say, look, today I get up and I am going to give Glenn Lal or I'm going to give my boss at GRA the best service. I'm going to come out there. I'm going to share some coffee. I'm going to go in front and baby because I really want to help the people out there. That I'm going to make suggestions how we could improve the system at GRA. That's the kind of thinking that you want to see.
Yeah, and Leonard, the other thing too is I look at what's happening over 50 odd years, 55, 56 years now since independence, and every successive government has politically appointed people to head various corporations and various entities. when are we going to be open to say, okay, university grads, we're going to place advertisement for the CEO of whatever. There is a reason you should study because you can get these jobs. No, you want these jobs, you got to go join a party and you'll be appointed and stuff like that. All of those things, it's a lot of things we got to change if we really want to mature as a people in art. Because my concern is what motivation our youngsters are going to have to qualify themselves, because the qualifications maybe not matter anymore. What matters is what contacts you have.
Yes, and that's a very sad thing, because you're right. I think there's a very fundamental issue that you've raised there. What kind of motivation, what kind of incentives are you giving to the little kids now? My little daughter, my little son, they want to go to university sometime or the other. The college fees is another issue that I don't even want to talk about. But yes, are you sending them to college to work where? In the private sector? Why not in government? And do you have to join a party? I mean, I think these are the fundamental issues that we have to start looking at. And maybe we could have a government that is going to be looking at the people and said, look, I am going to be training. I would like to see my president, Yog, and I'm skipping here a lot. I would like to see my president, Dr. Irfan Ali, stand up and send some very clear messages to the investors that are coming to Guyana, that they that are wanting to deal with the oil and gas sector, want to deal with the hospitality sector, with the hotels and so on, restaurants and so on, and let it make it very clear that for every one of them that comes, that there has to be 2 or 3 or 4 Guyanese that have to be trained. Here the issue that we have, Yog. Where are we getting? We not.
Leonard,
Huh?
they're gonna. Sorry to be skeptical here now and a cynic. They're gonna train, but they'll train you to take the garbage out.
But that's the issue. That's the issue that we're talking about. I mean, we need to see those kind of language that's gonna come in. Out. Some people says that you gotta crawl before you walk. But where do you start?
But it is we got the oil. You come talk our language. At some stage we got to stop being the beggar and we got to start being the person, realizing we are the ones that you need. You are the investor. You need to come invest in my country. You need me. Now, let me just tell you something else too. With regards to things like investment, I said this last week, Leonard. I wish to repeat it because this thing is very important. Look, you see over the past week in the news how much people said they're going to build whatever and invest how much money and this and that and the other. I don't know. Anyway, the checks and balances would be important, but I'm not going to get into that. But there's so much people said they're going to invest and they're going to do this and do that. And the government is giving them a lot of concessions. Leonard, from the man who builds the seawall and does all kinds of things to the contractor who does government work, some of them, not all of them, they get concessions. They get duty-free concessions. The man who builds roads or whatever, he brings in all those vehicles duty-free. Right? Now, my point is as follows. So you have 200 persons you're boasting about. They're going to come over the next 2 years and they're going to build 10-story and 50-story buildings and blah, blah, blah. That's fine. You're giving them concession. You're giving them hundreds of millions of dollars in tax concessions. Some of them are not going to pay tax for the first 2-3 years of their operations, Leonard.
And that's
what have you done for the 500 companies that have been in Guyana, that have been employing Guyanese, that have been struggling, that have been paying taxes every year? Why not say, you know what? All of these companies in Guyana, we're going to give you the equal tax break. We will give you the equal things. No, while those people are going to be setting up operations, you are going to be paying the taxes to keep things going. And when they finish setting up their operations and there'll be capital flight because they're investing, so they're going to take back their money outside, you will continue to pay taxes. So you who would, and I'm not being critical of the government, it's the system that needs changing. You who are the local investor, you went to the local bank and you begged the bank and the bank agree with your vision and you say, I want to borrow 10 million or 3 million or whatever and I'm going to invest I was just going to say barbershop, but that's a bad word nowadays. I'm going to invest in a car wash. Guess what? Yeah, I'm not getting any concessions for that. In fact, if I go and I bring in some cleaning pads and I bring in 25 or 30 cleaning pads, you're going to pull my stuff aside and say, you want to sell it, it's 25 or 30, it's commercial quantities. So you know what? You got to pay extra taxes. That man who brings in 10, 15 containers because he got a duty-free concession, he ain't doing anything. He ain't paying anything. So Leonard, it's not a level playing field. And the local community and the local businesses are feeling the brunt of it. And the private sector commission is dumb and deaf on some of these things.
I was about to raise that issue because we do happen to have a scarcity or an absence or a non-existent watchdog kind of calls coming. Why is it that it has to be the radio or the newspapers or somebody looking out for the people of Guyana? Why can't it be the business community? Look, I'm very angry right now. As a businessman, I've invested $500 million. I can't get it. Where are those people? Where are they raising these issues? Why are they not more in the open? Why is it that we only see in a Yog Mahadio or Christopher Ram and maybe a couple of others? Yes, you have a private sector commission, but these things here, we got to see some maybe a very weekly press conference raising issues about the slot in JRA, about the madness that goes on in the city wharves with customs and so on. We have to see people opening their mouth and start being very angry with these things. That why is there that 20 years down the line that we still have two roads, and yes, it has to do with resources, but we need to start seeing why is it that we have a GRDB there that acts as a middleman rather than facilitating better improvements to the rice industry and so on. So many things that we need to talk about it. But I think bottom line, watchdog bodies, Yog.
Yeah, and Leonard, exactly. There needs to be bodies that can be set up to monitor. Because I tell you what, remember, a lot of politicians operate on what they call the next day syndrome, right? That, okay, yesterday's news is gone. We're making new news today. Now, how many people in Guyana remember today, just 3 weeks after, 11 tons of cocaine? Where is that issue, Leonard? Why is nobody's head being rolled at GRA? Why is this matter not being disclosed fully and publicly? I don't want to hear about 2 or 3 little boys getting charged or getting jailed for it. This is not 11 tons is not a little boy issue anymore, Leonard. This is major player. And you know what? A lot of people don't realize 11 tons of something that is not being manufactured in Guyana. It came from somewhere to Guyana. So not only it went out, it came in.
That's exactly, and that's it. And not only that, look at the cost of it. The street value or the estimated value, it's almost $1 billion. You know what's $1 billion? That's the cost of our Milo Falls.
Exactly, Leonard. Exactly. And guess what? It's gone. It's gone. We are not hearing about it anymore. So you're right. There are very, very, very few people in Guyana that, very few people in Guyana that are willing to speak out. And there are very few politicians that don't take offense when you speak out. People feel personally insulted that you raise issues. And you know what, Leonard, I don't know. There's nobody I can say I hate. I hate what some of them do, but I don't hate the people. Right?
No.
So, there are very, very few of us that actually speak out about issues. There's some, I think one guy coined the word well. He said there are some parliamentarians that are really, really making a mockery of Parliament, and there are some basementarians that are really setting fire across Guyana from their basements overseas. And, until and unless we get together as a people and say we're not going to tolerate some of these things, Leonard, we're going to go down the wrong path. And, the investors, those people that are going to come in, they're going to start bringing in their own laborers. They're going to start bringing their own workforce. We have seen it happen before. I don't mean to denigrate the Chinese workforce, but we have seen when Chinese got Chinese contracts, the contractor, we see them bringing in their own workforce. What about Guyanese?
And exactly, and that is what it is. So I think from next week we got to start it. Let's, I think maybe start a campaign here. Keep Guyana clean. Yog, I know that we are almost out of time. Very quickly, closing comments from you. You got you got minus 2 seconds.
Well, it's good to be here, Leonard, and I certainly look forward to continuing our chat. Transparency and being outspoken. Stand up and speak out, Guyana. It is not the 1900s. Stand up and speak out. This country is your own. It doesn't belong to the politicians.
And thank you very much, dear. As always, Dr. Yog Mahadio, wealth of knowledge, has a lot of interesting perspective on things, on history, on the economy, finance, everything in Guyana that he could talk about and talk about it quite capably. So if you've if you're now joining us, this is the Wake Up Guyana show on Kaieteur Radio. We would have been coming to you live on 99.1 in Esquimalt and Demerara, 99.5 in Berbice. You could also get or relook at a copy of this program here on Facebook, on Kaieteur Radio on Facebook, Kaieteur Radio live stream on YouTube. We thank you very much. I think next week we're going to start a brand new campaign, Keep Guyana Clean. And I think I want to take it because it starts. Charity begins at home. Let's start somewhere. And then we take it from there. We start looking at accountability, transparency, and where we go. We have to start somewhere. And if this is a forum where it has to start, well, so be it. I want to bring up my kids and your kids and your kids. I'm not minding your kids, Yoga. I'm just using it as a metaphorically kind of language.
Our children, Leonard.
Our children,
Yoga.
And so we want to make a better country. And so it starts right here. It starts right now. It starts with me and it starts with you. And so next week we are going to be talking about that, start raising it, because you need to start within your community, within your neighborhood, with your neighbors. So in the meantime, I want to say thank you for joining us. Today we did not get to take as many calls as we should, but we are going to continue our business as usual next week from 1 o'clock on Monday. Then we go on to Friday again, and let's see where that goes. Until then, I want to say thank you very much to Dr. Yog Mahadio. I want to say thank you very much to the folks out there for joining us. Have a pleasant weekend. Stay safe. Do the right thing. Do not break the laws, and make sure that you protect yourself. Sanitize, wear your mask, and do not take any unnecessary risk. Have a pleasant rest of the day.